The following broadcast is brought to you by Public House Media.
This is Jessica Hammer, co-host of Crowned and Dangerous here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Crowned and Dangerous, where Maddie and I talk about all things pageant related, especially our experiences in the Miss America organization. A new show comes out bi-weekly, every other Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Crowned and Dangerous. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What is up, Rewritten crew? It's Julianne Condia, your host of Rewritten. Thank you, Public House Media, for making this podcast come to life. I'm so grateful for you, and for you, the listener. You're the reason it continues to grow and exist. So thank you for your DMs. Thank you for your messages, your text messages. And most importantly, just thanks for listening. Thank you for taking the time to dig into your own life of personal development and growth and vision. And I'm rooting for you. I'm partnering with you if you are willing to overcome all of the BS that we have and we tell ourselves, and you are wanting to rewrite your story, to learn from your past, to use your past as a stepping stone to building a better future. I love that. I think that there are a lot of people that think life's happening to them and not for them. I think people use their setbacks as excuses. I think that people are more comfortable with staying comfortable, and the biggest thrills that they have in their life are the shows that they're binge watching and the gossip that they're having and just their regular routines. And to be uncommon is hard because you're facing setbacks, you're facing your past, you're facing insecurities, you're becoming honest with your struggles, and that's not always fun. That's not always something that we want to do. And I just am really grateful that you're willing to do that, because I don't think we were meant to coast. And people fight for that. People fight to be complacent and comfortable because life is okay. Life is good. I just think life shifts in an instant. And the more we work on ourselves, the more resilient we become. Things might be good for now, but life is inevitable in that way, that something is going to come in our way. And what are we going to do about it? And I think that comfort people cling to can cause more pain than people that are willing to inch forward through their current struggles. And it becomes just a way to look at life in a better way. And I'm just grateful for you. I'm grateful that we can be a part of a community together. And I think when we link arms like that, we feel less alone. So I'm honoring you. I'm so grateful for you. And I don't have it all together. Life is not a coast for me. It's not easy for me. I don't always see struggles as the best learning opportunities, but because I invest my mindset, because I work on myself, I'm able to remind myself of that and continue on learning and growing and experiencing life the way it's meant to be experienced. So over the past 4 weeks, I have read some really incredible books that I would highly recommend to you. And if you get a little offended by cussing, just a pre-warning, some of the stuff that I read is pretty blunt, and I like that. I like it when people don't hold back and they're speaking how they feel. I honor that. I think it's really easy to judge people, but I'm just in awe of them willing to share their story. So a couple of books that I've read that are so good. One is Living with a Seal, and that is by, his name is Jesse, and he's married to Sarah Blakely, who is the CEO of Spanx, Jesse Itzler, and he invited a Navy SEAL to come live with him for a month. It is so fascinating. And I actually knew of this SEAL before I knew of Jesse Itzler. And I loved knowing that because he doesn't mention the SEAL's name until the very end of the book. But me knowing the whole time that it was David Goggins, I just was delighted. Because if you know anything about David Goggins, he's a beast. He runs ultra marathons. He's been to Hell Week 3 times in 1 year. And he's incredible. Like his life story of abuse and all of that, it's just his resiliency is wild. And Jesse Itzler wanted to get better. He felt like he was coasting even though he lived a really comfortable life. He knew that he was made for more. And I just think that's so fascinating that Jesse Itzler would even say this, that it doesn't matter how much money you have in the world. If you're sick, all you care about is getting better. And so it doesn't matter all the things that we have. And I think there's a greater lesson in that, is that we could have everything and still it not be enough. And so he really wanted to work on himself, which is so great. And the other book that I read is from David Goggins. So I read Living with a SEAL first. Then I read, I think it's You Can't Hurt Me. I can't think of the actual name. Yeah, Can't Hurt Me. And it's by David Goggins. His story is just really powerful. I read that. And then I read The Other Wes Moore, 2 men that grew up in West Baltimore, and one is serving a life sentence in the maximum security prison, and one is a very successful, very, very successful man. And they had very similar growing up, and they both share the same name, and they both drastically had different lives. So it's just fascinating to see why that is and what decisions they made. A lot of it had to do with having mentors, having people believe in your potential, surrounding yourself with certain types of people. And I am a big believer of that. And then I read The Tattooist of Auschwitz. And that was a really powerful book as well. And basically, the theme throughout all of these books was that they all had setbacks. They all were experiencing pain. They all experienced hardship. They all experienced failure. And all of these books talk about how they worked through it. And I think we just think that when failure happens to us or setbacks happen to us, that we feel sorry for ourselves or we get in a funk. I see this over and over with people that I've mentored, is that they are on fire when things are good. And then as soon as a stumbling block comes in their way, they stop. They give up. They throw in the towel. They feel sorry for themselves. And then they stop responding to me or their community because of whatever limiting belief that they have. And it's so frustrating because it's part of life. You got to lean into that. You've got to lean into that. So I'm about to share a story with you that this is so much of my journey and what I deal with. And it's this whole idea of the fear of looking stupid. I think no one wants to feel that way. No one wants to be mocked. No one wants to be made fun of. No one wants to feel embarrassed. No one wants negative attention on them. Sometimes even positive attention. And I think the reason they don't want positive attention on them is because of something that's happened in their past, to where when there was attention, it was in a bad way. So me sharing this, I just feel like it's really shaped my mind. It's really helped me work through a lot of things. And especially with my business, I think people, what I've learned, people care so much about what other people think. And they have this fear of looking stupid. For some reason, sharing on social media is one of the most frightening things for people. And I just want to throw this out there, is that I get defriended all the time, unfollowed all the time. And good thing I use social media just for accountability. Like, it's not, they say if you spend a lot of your time on social media, it's because you're feeling lonely in life. I try not to, it's weird. You'll see me on social media a lot, but it's just me sharing my story. I'm not trying to be in anybody else's business. And it's honestly a boundary for me because I want to be present in my own life. And I don't want to get lost in comparison. And I think that a lot of people use the platform of social media to share highlight reels. I try not to do that. I try to share the real. And you never know what's real and you never know what's fake. And then it just leaves you feeling defeated. But the fear of looking stupid. I've made so many grammatical errors on social media. People have pointed that out. I post too much, people have said. People have gotten offended by things that I've said, or if I've said a cuss word or whatever. People have judged me and, oh, you're doing that. Or they speak up and share their opinion when it wasn't even being asked for. And that terrifies people. That terrifies people so much. So let me share a story with you. When I was in 7th grade, first of all, I wasn't good at school. My mom and I have had discussions about this and conversations about this, is that I just wasn't book smart, if that makes sense. And I'm not even trying to dumb that down a little bit or, be like lighthearted about it. I don't know if you can be, but like straight up, school was really hard for me in the way that they taught. So in 7th grade, and you'll hear me mess up words a lot. You'll see grammatical errors, and I've just learned to roll with it and just whatever. If someone's going to get upset about that, like people get so offended by that kind of stuff, and I don't know why, whatever, that's on them. And I'm just going to keep living out my truth, and I'm not perfect, right? Well, in 7th grade, in front of my entire class, I mispronounced a word. Instead of saying Southern, I said Southern. And my 7th grade teacher pointed that out in front of the entire class. And I felt so stupid. And I'm being so serious to you right now when I say I did not raise my hand until college. If I got called on, that was my greatest fear. I just felt so dumb. And to back that up in my insecurity, because what we do is we look for affirmations, typically negative affirmations, especially when you're feeling not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, then all of a sudden you get affirmed. Your mind is looking for affirmation that is true. So a little bit of background is I was held back when I was in kindergarten or 1st grade. And then I've gotten a college rejection letter. I honestly celebrated D's and C's if I got those. It was so bad. And I always had all the red markings on my paper. I had to go to special learning classes. It just seemed like all this stuff was validating what my teacher had pointed out, right? So I carried that around with me for a really, really long time. Then got into college, thank goodness, by a lot of referrals and a great conversation with someone who gave me a shot. And even in college, I remember one of my professors saying, you don't know how to write a paper, you need help on my paper. I was so embarrassed. And failing tests and teacher tests that you have to take for credentials and all of that just was so defeating. And it was basically feeding into this, yeah, Julianne, you look stupid and you're not smart. And there was a moment where I just realized that I care massively about people. You don't have to know everything in order to live your life. This is our first time at life. You know what? If you're going to share your story and connect with people and people get offended by that or you do something wrong, that's on them. And I all of a sudden had this shift in my mindset that I was willing to put myself out there and risk looking dumb, looking a certain way to people if I was finding myself to be more confident, healthy, and connecting to who I really wanted to be. That outweighed the fear of the judgment of other people. And I think that's what you have to do. So whatever dream it is, because your limiting belief is going to get in the way. Your limiting belief is going to try to speak so much fear into you to take zero action and to give up and to throw in the towel. And you cannot lean into that. You have to lean into the potential in the future. And so for me, I had to weigh my options of what's the best case scenario of me sharing my story. That I build a very powerful business. I connect with the most amazing people around the country. I help other people feel more confident and healthy in their own lives, see people transform, be able to be myself and not have to live a different way. Like just be authentically me, share my story on social media to where I show up in my own journey, because honestly, that is social media for me. If I put a workout out there, it makes me want to show up the next day and do my next workout because people are watching, versus maybe having someone point out that I have a grammatical error, someone sharing an opinion that wasn't asked for, someone mocking me, making fun of me. What I saw my options as is I was willing to take that leap because that other stuff felt so much better than maybe someone pointing out something. And because of that, I've really been able to minimize that limiting belief of the fear of looking stupid and I'm not smart, of you're just smart in a different way. You get people. You know how to motivate people. You know how to inspire people. Why? Because you share your heart, you share your truth, you're authentic, you're real, and people need more of that. And that's what started this journey for me, is I was just willing to overcome whatever possible fears might have been getting in my way. So friend, I get it. This fear of looking stupid is so real. It is so real. I've walked it. I've experienced it. But I have to tell you, when you just decide to commit and take action and just take the leap anyway, you will discover so much strength within you that you will become so unstoppable in your momentum of wanting to work on every area of your life, to become better in every area of your life, to become fit in every area of your life, to where it makes you so genuine to who you want to be, who you are, and where you're destined to go. So I hope this breathes belief into you, life into you, and just go for it. And don't hold back because of those limitations. Life is happening for you, not to you. It is your choice to dust yourself off. It's not, oh, I hope it works this time. It doesn't work like that. What works is when you work. And when you work, it works. So take the action, suck it up. You've got this. And I'll talk to you later. If you could share this with a friend, I would be so incredibly grateful. I love this community. I love this podcast. And I'm so thankful you tune in to listen. Have an awesome day.